When it's time for back to school, you know you need to build a classroom community with your students, but you also want to do some fun getting to know you activities. My name is Rachel Hull, and today I'm going to show you how to make a time capsule with your students that will check both of those boxes. You'll build relationships with your students and get to know them all within one activity. After watching this video, you'll learn some surprising benefits that come with making a time capsule for your students. You'll learn what to put in it, how to manage it, how to organize it, and some helpful tips to make it fun instead of overwhelming, because this will be the first activity that your students will do, and there might be some tears. I'm also going to show you how to celebrate when you open your time capsule at the end of the year. In the description box of this video, I've included chapters, so you can just click on which part you like if you want to skip around. So why should you choose to do a time capsule for your getting to know you activities? I mean, it's the beginning of the year and you can choose basically anything. Why would you choose a time capsule? Here's why. How many times during the school year, just on your average day, you are kind of frustrated or sad that your students just kind of maybe aren't where you think they should be? You can't see growth day by day, but you can at the end of the year. And that's why a time capsule is important. You're going to be able to see their growth from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Time capsules are meant to be opened and celebrated. Their contents are supposed to be exciting to see, and you're going to be able to see that growth from the beginning of the year to the end. Imagine opening something in May that your students did at the beginning of the year and see the difference. Not only are you going to be proud of how your students have grown, but they are going to be so proud of themselves as well. When you use a time capsule in your room, you're going to see their favorite topics, what their favorite food is, what their favorite sport is. You're going to learn a lot about your students this way. But the best thing is that they're going to learn a lot from each other also, and that's going to help them build that relationship. And part of building that relationship is seeing what each student has in common. So it's going to be really fun to see who likes the same things. This will also help you see how your students can handle a project or a task. You're going to be able to see which students can follow directions and stick with you, and which students are going to do their own thing and just jump ahead and just do the whole project without listening to directions. You know who I'm talking about. You're going to be able to see which students are intimidated with the writing project or which students are anxious or overwhelmed when a task gets too hard. Either way, stick around because I'm going to show you what to do if a student gets a little too overwhelmed with this project. But the benefits of doing a time capsule will be it gives you a snapshot of where your students are now so you can kind of see who's struggling academically. It's really going to help you get to know your students, and it's going to help your kiddos get to know each other, and it's going to build that classroom relationship. But overall, it's just a really fun activity to do. You can add anything you want to your time capsule, just anything you want. If you want to have your students do something, put it in there. The sky's the limit. But here are some ideas to add to your time capsule if you're not quite sure. So I always like to put a photo of my students. I take a picture of them the first day and I'll put that picture in there. And here's a little hint, keep that picture and just use it for every class project because you will already have a picture. And chances are they're really dressed and cute and they like the first day of school. So when you use those photos, they're going to be excited to say that was the first day of school. They'll remember that. You can have them do self-portraits. They can draw a picture of themselves and you can put that right in their time capsule. I like to have them make a list of their favorite things. Topics include favorite food, favorite TV show, favorite song, favorite book, favorite school subject, favorite sport, any kind of favorite that you would like to put in there. And their name. I like to stick a little page in there that says, this is how I write my name. And that way you can see how much better their handwriting gets at the end of the year. I'd like to add a list of things that they think they'd like to learn this year, as well as things that they did learn if you're going to redo this at the end of the year. And I'm going to show you how to redo your time capsule at the end of the year to compare. But really at the beginning of the year, if you make a list of things that they would like to learn, it's really kind of interesting to see what do they think first grade's going to be all about, or second or kindergarten, or whichever grade you're in. And then last, something that's not a page, but I like to take a string or a piece of yarn and I like to measure how tall they are. If you come up with another idea, I'd love to hear about it, so drop it in the comments. You can make all these pages from scratch, but I do have a time capsule kit all ready for you. The link is in the description below and it has all the templates, and all you need to do is print it and go, and that way you have more time on your hands to prepare for something else and your time capsule is all planned out for you. You'll also need a cover page and maybe a manila envelope or a Pringles can works too. So the cover page just labels it as that student's time capsule, and then you can either keep it in a, put the pages in a manila envelope, or if you have room, you can use a Pringles can. Those are kind of fun because you can roll it up and just put the pages in there, and then that's a, kind of a different way to keep your time capsule. It's kind of fun. Now, as you're working through your time capsule, there are a few things to keep in mind. There will be tears. I know this is supposed to be a fun and exciting activity for your students, but they will get overwhelmed. If their self-portrait doesn't look perfect or they can't spell something, they will get overwhelmed. To calm their anxiety, model making your time capsule first. And that way they can see you making mistakes, because I want you to make a bunch of them. I want you to remark on how hard it is to draw yourself on the self-portrait. I can't get my nose right, but it's okay. I want you to model your favorite page and say, you know what, I don't know how to spell this, so I'm going to try. I'm just going to write the letters I hear. Stress over and over again that it's okay if it's not perfect. For example, if their favorite food is tacos, and I mean, who can blame them? Who doesn't like tacos? If they don't know how to spell the word taco, ask them if they know what taco starts with. And if they can say T, you write down it, have them write down a T. And then you tell them how impressed you are that you know what taco spells, starts with. And then what you can do as a side note, because later on when they read it, they're going to want to know what that word is. And if they just look at a T, they won't remember it's tacos. So you can take a pen and just small and in the corner write the word taco. And so that way later on they can read it. They know they didn't write it. And they will be able to see, oh, I couldn't spell taco, but they knew that their favorite food was tacos. Do you see what I mean? Another thing to keep in mind is don't spend a long time making these. Take maybe 1 to 2 days maximum, depending on how busy you are. It sounds very strange, but you're looking for completion over quality, because later on in the end of the year, when you open these up, you're going to want to see a lot of growth. So it's okay if these are really messy at the beginning of the year. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't try, quite the opposite. I want them to try. I just don't want you to do the work for them. So if they can't spell a word, don't write it down for them. Have them try. That way, when they open their time capsules and they see the growth that they've made, they've come a long way. So they're going to be so proud of their progress. And if you write it for them, they're going to think that they could spell everything perfect at the beginning of the year, and they won't see as much progress. They'll see your work and not theirs. We talked about using yarn or string to measure how tall your students are in the time capsule. So here are some tips on making that a little bit more manageable. I did this for years and years, and I finally found a system to measure them that didn't take all day, and I'm going to show you how I did that. So you need labels for your students, and you're going to want to have them ready ahead of time. All it is their names on a piece of paper. But you need to label each piece of yarn, because the first year I didn't, and they all dropped their yarn on the floor, and who could tell whose yarn it was? You can't tell. And I had to redo the whole thing. You can call them up to your desk and measure them one at a time. I would usually try this if they are coloring on their cover. Make sure you have a cover page for your time capsule. I'd have them decorate that, and I would have them come up and measure them. That way they were doing something that I didn't need to model. I didn't really care how they colored it. It was up to them. And then they could come up and measure. Or if I needed to, depending on my class, if they couldn't handle that, I would go over to one student at a time and have them stand up, and I measure them that way. Measurement does not need to be precise at all. It can be very simple, so that way you're getting it done quick. I usually ended up making them taller than they are, because I'm pretty tall. I'm 6'1", and I taught at first grade, and they're itty bitty. And so, it's hard with that angle. So that's why sometimes I would sit down and have them come up to me. It just depends. But I also didn't want to get anywhere near their hair. And I was paranoid. I never cut any student's hair. Never, ever, ever. But I was so afraid that I would. And so a lot of times I'd be about, keep yourself about at least a foot behind them, and then just, drop the yarn down to the floor and cut, and it looks like something like this. That way I got it done quickly, and I didn't get any phone calls from parents who, why did you give my son or daughter the special Mrs. Hill haircut? I'm just kidding. There's no such thing. I never cut their hair, but I was so afraid that I would. And I also wanted them to see, like, I'm coming at them with scissors, so I was staying way back. But doing it this way makes it really quick. They kind of enjoy standing there. They kind of like to see this weird thing I'm doing, and so it really works. Then tape your label on your string and you're good to go. Now, a note about self-portraits. They can be pretty interesting. I always thought they were adorable. Even if they, didn't quite look, even like a kid, it just, they were just adorable and they tried so hard. I just always thought they were super cute. But you're going to need to model each feature. Your students are not coming to you with a lot of knowledge about art and drawing. And so you're going to need to show them that, features are different shapes, and you're also going to want to make sure you do one feature at a time. I usually would not let them go to the next thing until we finished it. So if we started with our eyes, I wouldn't let them go to the nose until I showed them how to draw a nose. I also used to just give my students a blank piece of paper and we would try to work on drawing our heads and our shoulders, and it was just too much and there were many tears. So many tears. They couldn't get the head the right size. They couldn't get the right shape. And we spent more time on that than we did getting our features done. And so it just wasn't worth it. So now I use a template for it that has the head and the shoulders already done. And again, you can draw one. It's just an oval and then just like a stick with two lines going across, or you can pick up mine, which is there's a self-portrait template right in the time capsule kit in the link below. So as you're modeling your self-portrait, just talk about how difficult it is, like we talked about it before. You can say, gosh, my mouth kind of looks like this, and so I'm going to draw it like this, but if yours looks like this, or if it's too hard, just show I'm going to draw a little smiley face and go from there. My rule again was always don't go on until we've done each part. And you're going to be able to see, and I don't just do that to be strict or to say you need to follow my directions. I also kind of do that to see which students can follow directions and which are having a hard time. Now we sketch our features in with a pencil, but then I have the Colors of the World crayons, and these are really great to use for skin color. There are 24 different shades, and my students have always liked, ever since these came out, they like picking out which shade is theirs, which shade most resembles their skin. Now there is a link to get these off Amazon. It's an affiliate link, and it's down below in the descriptions too. I think I make like 3 cents. It is not any extra off of you. The 3 cents doesn't come from you. It actually comes from Amazon. So don't worry about that. It's just a little small way to support this teaching firsties. But anyway, if you want to get these, you can get those through the link down below. Now, if you don't have these, you can use a brown and an orange crayon. And most of the time you can get away with that. I always taught with a pretty diverse group of kids, and so I wanted them to make sure that their skin color was okay and that I loved them for it. And so I would tell my students, you guys are the best looking bunch of first graders I have ever seen. And so I really want to make sure I see your beautiful brown eyes, or your beautiful blue eyes, or your beautiful, brown skin, or your beautiful, peach skin. I just really want to see. And I would go around and I would explain, Giovanni has darker hair, and so he's going to use a darker crayon for his, and Lola has beautiful like strawberry blonde hair, so she might even use a little bit of yellow and a little bit of red, just to mix it in, and just really kind of go around and remark on each person's color of their skin. And that way I found that because I guess it always broke my heart if my little African American students drew themselves, but they drew themselves looking like me, and they would say, "Oh, it's because I love your blonde hair. I love that." But I want, and I was flattered, but I want them to be. I want them to be okay with drawing their own skin and that it's beautiful. And so the Colors of the World really work. Other than that, let me explain how to use a brown crayon or an orange crayon. So if you have students who are Hispanic or Black, African American, and their skin is brown or darker, you could just tell them, I would like you to use a brown crayon, but just color light because your skin isn't as dark. Or if it's darker, you can say, just push a little harder and your crayon will get darker, and that's the color of your skin. So brown was pretty easy. But then I would say if your skin is the color of mine, then take an orange crayon, but be so very careful. Don't push hard because then you will look like the color of an orange, and I don't have orange skin. So just take an orange crayon, and you can try it for yourself too. It actually works. And just color ever so lightly. Just lightly brush it on the top. Don't squeeze the crayon hard. Don't push hard. Just hold it ever so gently and just stroke back and forth on the paper, and it actually ends up turning more of a peach color. So if you don't have the colors of the world, you can use a brown or an orange crayon, but I will warn you, you will get some who just color the whole face purple. It happens. It just happens. It happens every year, and I love that too. So you've made your time capsule. Should you just send them home with instructions not to open their senior year? You know, that sounds like the right thing to do, right? But chances are your time capsules are going to get lost or opened right away. And if that happens, you're not going to be able to enjoy your students opening them either. So here's what I do. I make a celebration at the end of the year for my time capsules, and it's super fun. And the best way to do that is keep your time capsules somewhere safe all year long, safe and hidden. I actually had this big treasure box. We were the pirates, and so I had a big treasure box, and I kept all of my time capsules in there, and I hid it on the top of a cabinet. And my students just kind of forgot it was there. They saw it every day. They forgot it was there. And at the end of the year, I would take it down, and we would open it like a treasure. So it was just something really fun and exciting to do. So for your time capsules, keep them somewhere safe and hidden where your students won't see them, and then pull them out and just like present them with fanfare at the end of the year, because your students will have forgotten all about them. So they're going to be so excited. And if you want to make it even more special, redo all of your activities at the end of the year so you can see how much they grew. You can see how much better their self-portrait and their drawing skills are. You can see how much different their writing skills are. I always do the activities before I pull the time capsule out. I don't even say a word about it. I just say, here are some end of the year activities we're going to do. And again, remember, instead of what do I want to learn, what did I learn this year? And so that way they can compare the two. Now they won't remember any of the activities that you did, and so they're not going to catch on that you're going to compare them, including the string with the measurement too. So I do absolutely everything again, and then I'll pull out the time capsule, and they'll be excited to show you how much they've learned. And I like to put a lot of these things into a book, and that way they can kind of compare it and take it home as a really special keepsake. And so usually I just take, maybe 5 or 6 pieces of construction paper and just staple it along the side. And then I glue, or have them glue with a glue stick, because otherwise it gets all wet. But glue in each part side by side so they can see how much they've grown. And then for the yarn, if you want, maybe staple it on there, or maybe put it in a baggie so they can take it out, just glue a baggie on the page, and you can write, this is how much I grew this year. Another activity to do, especially if you're working on measurement in math, is compare the two pieces of yarn and see how much, and have them measure how much they grew over the year. And if you choose to do that at the end of the year, this is going to help your students who may have moved in throughout the year and didn't get to do a time capsule on the beginning of the year. That way you're still keeping them involved, and you can say, now here's this time capsule for you, and you can take it home and open it next year and see how much you grew next year. And so that way they're included too. All the links for the time capsule, the crayon, the time capsule kit are all in the description below. I also wrote a blog at Teaching Firsties, so you can maybe go and read that. And if you want to catch up on some more tips for the time capsule, all of the links are down below. Make sure you subscribe to the Teaching Firsties channel right here, especially for more back to school tips. The next video is going to be all about using a Student of the Week activity. It'll be fun for your students, and I'm going to show you how it's easy and manageable for you too. So I'll see you there.